The following information and opinions expressed on the Sweet Divorce podcast do not constitute nor are intended to be taken as legal advice. All content is generalized and for informational purposes only. Please contact our legal team or your own attorney for advice specific to your particular case. Thank you. It's Sweet Divorce. Life's sweeter after divorce. Let us help you get there.
Hello, I am Rosario Burgos Santoyo, and this is my partner,
Gretel Smith.
Today, we are going to be talking about things to do in the fall with your children.
Absolutely. And fall is my favorite season, Rosario. What about you?
I kind of love every season just because the anticipation of the change and the new things that you can do with every season. So, when it's right before summer, I look forward to going to the beach. But I also do yes, I love fall. When it's about to be fall, I can't wait to get the fall stuff out. And today's October 1st, the day that we're filming this. So fall is in the air. I am surrounded by all my fall things. I did it as soon as September 1st hit. I brought out all my fall decorations.
I don't let us, we decorate for Halloween in October. So we decided to go a little early this year just because it's because October 1st is in the middle of the week. So we did just a little bit on the weekend. But we're going to finish ours up soon, and I'd get excited for that. But, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about children and things to do with them in the fall.
Yes.
Activities that parents, co-parents can do with their kids. And so what are some things that you do with your children in the fall?
I do lots of things. One of the ones that has become one of our favorites is picking apples in Julian. We're in San Diego, so Julian is in San Diego County as well. They're out of apples this season, but that doesn't mean you can't go to a small town, have a piece of pie, and take in some of the great fresh air, which leads me to, I know something that you mentioned that you like to do during the fall, Gretel.
Which I love going hiking in the fall. I think it's the greatest time of year to hike. The summer month, it's not as hot. It's not 110 degrees.
Right.
We can go out in the morning or in the evening and pick a spot and just have a great time. See a lot of animals this time of year. There aren't too many leaves changing in San Diego, but if you're living in Northern California or you're living on the East Coast, we've got all those beautiful leaves that are changing. And the air just is so fresh and crisp. It's like we're waiting for something new to happen, right?
Yeah. And like you mentioned, the weather, it's a lot cooler, so it's more conducive to being outside and enjoying that cool weather without worrying about things like heat stroke.
Absolutely. I think some other fun things to do, because when we have our kids, we don't always have to do things that cost money, right? I mean, sometimes it's just doing something together. It can be as simple as going to the grocery store or a farmer's market even. And a farmer's market's a great place to go in the fall. There's so much amazing produce that happens this season, and going and seeing the pumpkins and the gourds and all the things that the local farmers would have is a great activity to do with your children. And it doesn't cost very much.
That's true.
And so I think when we're thinking of things to do with our kids, when we have them, whether it's on the weekends, if you just have a dinner visit, there's always something you're going to be able to do with them, and to plan in advance what it is that you can do so that they have something to look forward to when they're with you.
Yes.
And so what are some other things that you like to do with your children? Maybe like a short activity.
Oh, well, I was going to say it's not short, but things such as cooking special fall recipes. I know I mentioned apple picking already, but one of the fun things to do with apple picking is you get to make applesauce, which is fun, and it makes your whole house smell really good. And it's something special. You have to feed your kids anyway. So it's something special you get to do that will make that visit more memorable, even though it's something as simple as making applesauce together. And it's really easy because the ingredients are simple: apple, sugar, cinnamon. You can add some vanilla, but homemade applesauce, apple pie, roasting some squash to eat for dinner. But it's something that's different that you can include your kids in, have them sprinkle the salt in and help you, put it in the oven, put the timer on and help check on it. And it'll also make them more likely to try something new if they've been involved in preparing that particular meal.
Absolutely. I know when I cook with my son present, if we're making pie, I let him roll out the dough a little bit. Um, and sometimes when we have our kids helping, it doesn't always look as perfect as if we were going to do it, but it's the activity in itself. It doesn't have to look perfect as long as it tastes okay.
That's
Make
what
sure they
goes
wash their hands before they start cooking with you.
in.
But I mean, I think that's such a great thing. You can do that year round with your children too. It doesn't have to just be fall. Like cooking with your kids is such an amazing activity to bond with them. I think, if we're looking more for fall activities, another thing that I like to do, especially in San Diego, is go to the beach. If you live here in San
Yeah.
Diego or you live anywhere near the coast in California, I think this time of year is one of the best times to go to the beach where it's still warm enough that you can go and enjoy it. But a lot of people have gone. We're not dealing with the
Yeah.
crowds. You get to, you can just go and put your blanket out in the sand, bring a book, bring a couple books, bring some sand toys for the kids, and sit down and just really enjoy yourselves.
I love a beach that is not busy. You can find parking and spend the day there. And like you said, take a good book and
Hmm.
just relax and enjoy the ocean waves and the sunset. We're very lucky to be able to do that.
We
Um,
really are.
you mentioned that cooking is fun every season. It's nice to give it a spin for the holiday. Something else that we like to do is make like Monster Rice Krispies treats, which is super easy because it's like regular Rice Krispies treats, but you add some food coloring and eyeballs, and all of a sudden you just got misshapen monsters. And then they get to be creative because it doesn't matter what shape they are, you just add the eyeballs to them. So that's something that we've been doing every year too. That's a fun October activity for us to do, just little Monster Rice Krispies
And
treats.
what a fun memory your children have doing that too, because it's just a
Yeah.
nice activity. There's no stress involved with that. Again,
Mhm.
we're not going for perfection. We're just going for just the experience. Um,
Exactly.
Something else that I found, and it depends on the children's ages, but this time of year, there's a lot of sales at the craft stores and getting crafting kits for your children and just sitting down and doing a craft with them. And sometimes a simple craft, might take 10-20 minutes, but
Mhm.
it's that experience that you have with your child, building something, creating something with them. And you don't have, especially with the craft kits, you don't have to think about it too much. The instructions are there. They're very simple. Sometimes it's just a matter of peeling off a sticky, and making some sticky foam turn into something fun. So it's another activity I like to do with my son and sometimes even with his friends. I always keep a couple craft kits around, and whenever I see them on sale, I just throw them in the basket.
Yes, that's a great idea. Crafting is fun. Doing things with your hands is really fun.
We're going to take a quick break. Sweet Divorce will be right back after these messages.
Need help with your divorce? Not to worry. Here at Burgos Santoyo Smith, we have the answers to all your questions pertaining to court orders, mediation, family law, and healthy co-parenting. Find us at www.bsslegal.com or give us a call at 833-931-1615. That's 833-931-1615. We are here to serve you with several locations in California, from San Diego, Escondido, El Centro, and Monterey, and one location in Swansea, Illinois. Burgos Santoyo Smith. Life's sweeter after divorce. Let us help you get there.
Want more Sweet Divorce? Find us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at BSS Legal.
You can also do something as simple as just a movie night because there are a lot of seasonal movies out that you tend to only watch in October, like Beetlejuice, for example, the classic.
Mhm.
Hocus Pocus, Practical Magic. There are so many movies that we watch
The Worst
just
Witch.
here. I love The Worst Witch. Yes, The Worst Witch, even Teen Witch, and we're also probably dating ourselves. Yes, 80s kids.
Yes.
But then just, sitting, making popcorn, homemade popcorn, warming up with a blanket and watching the movie together.
Yeah, we actually have done that a few times in our family where we'll call it movie night, where we create a movie theater experience. I get the microwavable soft pretzels, we make some popcorn, I make some nacho cheese, and we have nachos and pretzels and popcorn. It's not the healthiest meal at all, and you don't want to do it every night, but it's a really fun Friday night or Saturday night thing, just to relax, not have a lot of pressure on you for what you're making for dinner. You're feeding snacks for dinner and you're watching a fun movie with your child. And there's something to be said about that, just that experience. Not every activity we have to do with our kids has to be a big thing. We don't have to go to Disneyland every weekend. We don't have to, go to Legoland because we're here in San Diego, right? Or SeaWorld. If you have passes to those places, go, because I will say they have some really fun fall activities. But I think it's so important for us to just find joy in the little activities we do with our children on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, that is very true. And everywhere is fun because everywhere changes it up a little bit just for fall and for the season. So like you mentioned, just going to SeaWorld, it's different because there are cobwebs everywhere, and that makes it a different experience in and of itself as well. Also curling up with a good book about ghost stories, depending on the age of your child. Like if you have, somebody who's not easily afraid, there's so many fun ghost stories that you can curl up in a blanket with a flashlight and read to your little one.
Don't induce nightmares in your children. I
no
think that's
one knows your children the way you do, so you can read the room. But if you know that your kids can handle it, and also be respectful of your co-parent, if you feel like it's something that you would want to discuss ahead of time, then make sure and have that discussion. But that is another fun activity, and it doesn't have to be a spooky ghost story. It could just be something about Casper the Friendly Ghost or something, because there are so many kids books that involve ghosts in them but aren't necessarily scary, or little pumpkins. Just reading a good seasonal book would be fun. And like I said, under a blanket with a flashlight makes it that much more, it just makes the experience a little bit more exciting.
Just adding that that touch of magic, right?
Yeah.
That we try to give to our children regardless. And that's something that's, simple as going to the library and checking out a book for free. So something that I was thinking about, while we were talking about the reading and the scary and knowing your child, really think about who your child is, because when you are bringing in activities, you want to enjoy them, but you also want to make sure your child is enjoying them too. Right. So, if you have a 6-year-old, you're not going to show them Nightmare on Elm Street or Scream films, because that's not age appropriate. So you want to make sure that you are doing age appropriate activities with your children. And obviously, like a pumpkin patch is very age appropriate, but we're here to talk about other things other than just going to a pumpkin patch, right? That you can do in the fall.
Even though I was going to shout out a pumpkin patch, like pumpkin patches are also really fun, to do. And once you get the pumpkin, even if you don't want to drive out to a pumpkin patch, you can also just go to your local grocery store and buy a pumpkin and have them decorated at home, either with, markers or paint. And then you can carve it closer to Halloween so that it lasts the whole season. But pumpkin crafts are also, on with the craftiness. You can craft with a pumpkin.
One of the traditions that we have in our family is once we carve the pumpkin and we take the seeds, we separate them. And it's a process, but it's so much fun to roast those seeds. And they last a couple of weeks because, it's a lot of pumpkin seed and you've roasted them. So they store in a cool, dry spot in a Ziploc bag for a while, and they're very tasty. And I'm not a nutritionist, but I hear that they're very nutritious.
Yes, asterisk. We are not dietitians. However, these are all fun things to do.
Right. That are also healthy activities that your children can benefit from, and create a small tradition. And when you're in a relationship, where you're a co-parenting relationship where you're not in the same household, and maybe this is a newer thing for your child, it's really important to provide something that could be a new tradition that you are doing with your child. So they get that sense of comfort from you and know that they're safe still.
The whole point of all these activities is to just develop that bond between you and your child, and to make memories that last a lifetime, and maybe new traditions, because one day they may be doing the same thing with their own little baby. Another tradition that we started just a few years ago, after we watched Coco, was we now put up our own ofrenda here at home, with pictures of our loved ones who have passed away. And I enjoy it because I get to tell the kids about who the people are on the mantle. and we light candles. We don't put out their favorite food the way others do, but it's a fun way, one, to decorate, and also to just think about your family that has come before you.
I think
So
that's just such a lovely thing, and a way to bond with your children and talk about who their where their roots are, right? Where did they come from? And especially when you're yeah, I love that you're doing that. And I think that would be, you know, if you're coming in from your child is sharing households, for them to have a little bit of ties to your family a little bit more, and to the other family by doing that. What a lovely tradition that you could start. You know, the other thing that we have in fall is Thanksgiving, right? Here in the United States. And, you know, that's something that, you know, we like to have that big feast always on that Thursday, but maybe you don't have your kids in Thanksgiving specifically on that date, but you should have them, you may have them around that date. So you don't have to necessarily celebrate Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving Day. You can throw yourselves a big feast anytime.
Yes.
And
there are also Friendsgivings if you want to have your, you know, friends over, or his or her friends over as well. It'll make it something special, like a play date, but themed to be one of gratitude and abundance with, you know, with whatever you have on your table.
And I think, especially if you have like teenagers, what a great idea to do with teenagers, where they can even help cook some of the meal, and they can have their friends bring it as a potluck even, and you all sit down and give thanks. And a lovely tradition that doesn't have to happen on Thanksgiving. It can happen anytime in the fall. The other thing, just to remind you that, you know, with the new holidays, it's always important to look at that custody order and make sure you know which holidays you're having and which holidays the other party has. Look to see if your children have any days off of school that might not be a specific holiday, but maybe like a in teachers in service day. And just make sure you're checking with the school calendar, and that both you and your co-parent understand who has your children on which day.
Yes.
So there isn't any strife on the day of the holiday or the day off they have from school. It's better to look in the future, or look forward in the future, than wait until the present when now you have a problem.
Yes. Very true. Always look to your court orders when you're expecting a change in your regular routine. And there are a lot of holidays around this time with 3-day weekends. So it's important to make sure you're prepared for that. Make sure you know who's picking up if there's a change in the location or your regular day. So that's a really good point. So with that, if you find yourself in need of legal advice or a consultation, please reach out to us at Burgos Santoyo Smith. We're happy to have a consultation with you, and go to our website for more information.
It's